papa. That's run away. That's run me. That's run me. Kuna chani.
Akirirwa boroga, abaturanyi twari duturanye bamwe barahunze barigendera kubera barara boroga.
Every day is different for each and everybody. When some are living their best days, others are going through unspeakable pain. When some are throwing away food because they do not like it, others are dying of hunger. Today, we bring you a story of a lady that has spent 17 years rotting inside her house. She is going through terrible pain and she is always screaming while lying down in this house and being taken care of by her husband. It is unbelievable, but most of the neighbors locked their houses and left. They couldn't bear her always screaming all night and day. They could hardly sleep, and this is the reason why they abandoned their houses and went to look for a life elsewhere.
Amazina yanjye banyita Kamuhanda Celestine, nkaba narashakanye na Mukakabera Flaviana, turasezerana imbere y'amategeko n'imbere y'Imana.
He is called Celestine. They have been through a lot together for very many years.
Twamuranye imyaka 20 dushobora kwikorera ibyo dukora byose. Ariko muri iyi myaka 17 yongeyeho ku myaka 37 imyaka 17 yose tuyimaranye ari mu burwayi.
She has been sick for 17 years now, and she was affected by this disease when they had been together for over 20 years. He really does not know how to describe what is happening to his wife. They have been married for 37 years now. He tried treatment in all the local hospitals that they could get to. He ended up selling his house, and though all that happened, the doctors could not manage to treat his wife. She is rotting and maggots are coming out of her body while he is watching. As old as he is, sleeping is now a problem because he's always watching over his wife night and day. She is screaming, saying things that do not even make sense. It is not a language at all, but because of the pain that she is going through, she starts speaking in tongues. In the beginning, of course, she was a fine lady, one that he fell in love with and decided to marry, make her a wife, and they had great plans of starting up a life together. It was quite successful and very good at first, but later it turned into a nightmare. Well, they have a good family and they gave birth to children like they had planned. It was 20 years in marriage when she started feeling a lot of pain in her body, but she wasn't showing any signs of being sick. They ignored it in the first place, and she took some painkillers and expected to be fine. She and her husband were working, and that's how they managed to take care of their children. It was a normal and happy life that they lived until one morning that everything suddenly changed when she woke up and couldn't move anymore. They rushed her to the nearby hospital. The doctors carried out checkups on her body, but they couldn't find anything wrong with her. They transferred her to another bigger and better hospital because they could not manage. The hospital that they were sent to, they carried out checkups again, but they still couldn't find anything wrong with her, though it was obvious that she was sick. Days later, she started developing wounds on her thigh that came in a way that they couldn't tell. It was not long after then when they started rotting and bearing maggots within them. It was obvious that she might be living her last days. Honestly, the hospital that they had been transferred to was far away in the city. Moving there and managing to pay the hospital bills, affording a living and food, was very expensive. But he had to figure out a way to get this money before he had lost his wife. He says that the only valued thing they have was only a small house that they lived in. He sold it so that he can get money which would take him and his wife to the city so that she could be able to get treatment and save her life. This was done, the house was sold off, and they were ready to hit the road. They later moved to the city and met the doctors. They put her through scans, and since her body had a lot of temperature, they covered the whole of it with ice. According to him, this helped a lot and she was becoming a lot better. The wounds were healing and they were happy, and he thought that everything was going to be okay. According to what he says, that was when he last smiled. What happened to them is also a story to tell. All the money they had got done because treatment was very expensive. They couldn't afford it anymore, yet she was becoming better. He had nowhere else to get the money so that he could pay the hospital bills until she was fine. So they were sent back home, but she was still sick and hadn't yet recovered. They went back home and her condition was not very bad since she had got some treatment. This did not last for long, and soon she started feeling a lot of pain again, and this time it was too much, yet they could not afford treatment anymore. Because of the pain she is going through, she keeps screaming and speaking in tongues. She lives like this every night and day. Their neighbors couldn't sleep at all because of the way she was always screaming in the night. They packed all their bags, locked their houses, and they left to go and find another place that was peaceful. Because here, they could not live in this kind of life anymore. They may come back when she dies or goes to the hospital.
Kanyasayimana Oliva, ba mukecuru nyine turaturanye n'ubundi ndi umuturanyi we. Abaturanyi twari duturanye bamwe barahunze barigendera kubera baraboroga. Ako twebwe nyine turabyihanganira kubera duturanye.
She is called Oliver. Though other neighbors left, she is the only one that decided to stay, and she says that she cannot blame whoever left because the noise that is always coming out of that house is too much. She has been watching this family for 9 years now. They have been through a lot of suffering and they really need help. Their children are also poor and very young. They were going to school before all this happened, but when their father spent everything he had, they dropped out of school because paying school fees had also become impossible. One of her children is a man now. He gave birth to some other children too, but they all came to help with the situation of their grandmother since this man is very old and he cannot do each and everything on his own. Sometimes he also needs to rest. Since they sold their house, this one is rental. They hardly managed to pay it since he was fired after he spent a very good time without going to work at all. He spent all these days trying to take care of his wife. He is requesting for help so that he can take his wife for full medical treatment, and these funds will be donated via GoFundMe, a link that is in the description of this video and pinned in the topmost comments by Afrimax English. We cannot change each and every bad thing that happens on earth, but we can do something. Thank you for watching. My name is Prince. Do not forget to subscribe.
Mana